An explosion rocked the Helios V, the shockwave rippling through its metallic frame. Lights flickered, alarms blared, and chaos erupted in the pristine corridors. "All hands to the medbay!" The intercom crackled, barely audible over the din. Dr. Michael Carter, the lone human doctor aboard, sprinted through the narrow passages, his heart pounding as he dodged panicked crew members. Michael burst into the medbay, greeted by a scene of controlled pandemonium. The alien medical team hovered over a critically injured figure, their advanced instruments flashing inscrutable data. Alara, the Nix scientist, lay on the table, her normally vibrant, translucent skin a dull gray. Her breathing was shallow, her life hanging by a thread. "Dr. Carter, we need you here!" called out Lyra, Alara's best friend and fellow scientist. Her voice trembled with fear, but her eyes held a flicker of hope. Michael nodded, stepping forward with a mix of determination and dread. "Status report?" he demanded, scanning the room for useful data. "The injuries are extensive," the ship's AI, Athena, reported. "Her Nix physiology is beyond our current medical capabilities. Standard procedures are failing." Michael's mind raced. The Nix, with their complex biological systems, were notoriously difficult to treat. The alien medical team, despite their advanced technology, were stumped. Michael, however, had a different perspective: human ingenuity. "Prep the surgical suite for a hybrid procedure," Michael ordered, rolling up his sleeves. The team hesitated, their skepticism palpable. Commander Thaler, a towering figure with a stern expression, stepped forward. "Doctor, you seriously think your primitive methods can save her?" Thaler's voice dripped with disdain. Michael met his gaze without flinching. "I don't think. I know. Trust me, or get out of the way." With a reluctant nod from Thaler, the team sprang into action. Michael's hands moved with practiced precision, blending human medical techniques with alien technology. He used a laser scalpel to make delicate incisions, his fingers deftly manipulating the instruments. The air was thick with tension, the only sounds the beeping monitors and Michael's steady instructions. Lyra watched intently, her fears slowly giving way to awe. "How did you learn to do this?" she asked quietly, not wanting to break Michael's concentration. "Years of practice and a bit of improvisation," he replied, his eyes never leaving Alara. "Sometimes, all we have is our wits and determination." Minutes felt like hours as Michael worked, sweat trickling down his brow. Finally, he applied the last suture, stepping back to assess his work. Alara's breathing stabilized, her skin slowly regaining its iridescent glow. A collective sigh of relief swept through the room. "She's stable," Michael announced, exhaustion evident in his voice. "But we're not out of the woods yet. We need to monitor her closely." Commander Thaler approached, his stern demeanor slightly softened. "You've done well, Doctor. Perhaps there is more to humans than we thought." Michael nodded, too tired to respond with more than a faint smile. He turned his attention back to Alara, his thoughts racing. This wasn't just about saving a life. It was about proving that humans could contribute something valuable to this interstellar crew. As the medbay settled into a quieter rhythm, Michael allowed himself a moment of introspection. The explosion, the injuries, it all felt too precise, too targeted. He glanced at Lyra, who seemed to share his unease. "We need to find out what really happened," he murmured, more to himself than anyone else. Lyra nodded, her expression grim. "Agreed. And we need to be ready for whatever comes next." The tension in the air was palpable, a silent promise of the challenges yet to come. But for now, Michael had proven himself, and Alara was safe. It was a small victory, but a significant one. The journey ahead was uncertain, but Michael was ready to face it, human ingenuity and all. The Helios V shuddered violently, throwing Michael against the medbay wall. "What now?" he groaned, pushing himself up as the ship's alarms blared anew. Athena's voice cut through the chaos, calm but urgent. "Explosion in the engineering bay. Sabotage confirmed. All personnel to emergency stations." Michael's heart pounded. The ship's integrity was compromised, and they were under attack from within. He sprinted towards the engineering bay, a mix of fear and determination driving him forward. The corridors were a blur of flashing lights and frantic crew members. As he reached the engineering bay, he was met with a scene of devastation. Flames licked the walls, and the acrid smell of burning metal filled the air. The crew was working desperately to contain the fire, but it was clear they were struggling. Michael spotted Lyra amidst the chaos, her face smeared with soot and her eyes wide with determination. "Lyra!" he shouted over the roar of the flames. "What's the situation?" She pointed to a damaged conduit sparking wildly. "We need to shut that down, or the whole ship could go up." Michael nodded, scanning the area for a way to help. His eyes fell on a fire suppression system, partially obstructed by debris. He rushed over, muscles straining as he cleared the obstruction and activated the system. A cloud of suppressant foam engulfed the flames, slowly bringing the inferno under control. With the immediate danger mitigated, Michael turned to Lyra. "Who could be doing this?" Lyra's expression was grim. "I don't know, but it's clear someone wants to tear this crew apart." They made their way to the ship's control center, where Commander Thaler was coordinating the emergency response. His stern face was set in a scowl, his eyes narrowing as Michael and Lyra entered. "Doctor, scientist, we need answers," Thaler growled. "This sabotage is precise and coordinated. We're dealing with an inside job." Michael nodded, his mind racing. "We need to check the security logs, look for any anomalies or unauthorized access." Athena's voice chimed in. "Already on it, Doctor. I have detected several unauthorized entries into restricted areas. Accessing surveillance footage now." The screen lit up with grainy footage of a shadowy figure moving through the ship's corridors. The figure was careful, avoiding main thoroughfares and keeping to the shadows. Michael's eyes narrowed as he watched. "We need to find this saboteur and fast," Thaler said, his voice hard. "The next attack could be our last." Michael nodded, his mind focused. "Lyra, can you work with Athena to trace the saboteur's movements? We need to figure out their next move." Lyra nodded, already tapping into the ship's systems. "On it. We'll find them." As they worked, Michael couldn't shake the feeling of unease. The attacks were too precise, too calculated. Whoever was behind this knew the ship's vulnerabilities intimately. His thoughts drifted to Alara, still recovering in the medbay. The memory of her near-death experience fueled his determination. Hours passed as they traced the saboteur's movements through the ship. It was a painstaking process, but eventually a pattern emerged. The saboteur was targeting critical systems, aiming to cripple the Helios V from within. "We've got them," Lyra said finally, her voice triumphant. "They're in the main reactor chamber." Michael felt a surge of adrenaline. "Let's go." They moved quickly, Thaler leading a security team while Michael and Lyra followed. The tension was palpable as they approached the reactor chamber. The door slid open with a hiss, revealing the saboteur, a tall, hooded figure standing by the reactor core. "Stop right there!" Thaler barked, his weapon trained on the figure. The saboteur turned slowly, lowering their hood to reveal a familiar face. Michael's heart sank. It was one of the engineering crew, a Nyx named Vorin. His eyes were filled with a mix of anger and desperation. "Vorin, why?" Michael asked, stepping forward. Vorin's voice was bitter. "You humans think you can just waltz in and take over? We've been out here for years, and now you come in with your primitive methods and think you can save us?" Michael shook his head. "This isn't about me. It's about all of us working together to survive." Vorin's eyes flashed. "You don't understand. You'll never understand." Thaler stepped forward, his voice cold. "It's over, Vorin. Stand down." Vorin hesitated, then dropped his weapon. The tension in the room dissipated slightly, but the threat of sabotage still lingered in the air. Michael knew they had a long way to go before trust was fully restored. As they led Vorin away, Michael exchanged a look with Lyra. The journey ahead was fraught with danger, but he was determined to prove that humanity could be a force for good in this interstellar alliance. The Helios V sailed on, its crew united in their struggle for survival. The Helios V plunged into darkness as power systems failed, plunging the ship into an eerie silence. Emergency lights flickered on, casting long, ominous shadows in the corridors. Michael's heart raced. "We've lost main power!" Athena's voice echoed through the comms, tinged with a rare hint of urgency. Michael grabbed his medkit and sprinted towards the control center. The emergency lighting made the ship's familiar hallways feel alien and threatening. He arrived to find Commander Thaler, Lyra, and a few key officers huddled around a holographic display, the atmosphere thick with tension. "Report!" Michael barked, slipping into his role amidst the chaos. Thaler looked up, his expression grim. "Sabotage's actions have caused a critical failure in the reactor core. We have less than an hour before the containment breach." The gravity of the situation settled over Michael. "What's the plan?" Lyra stepped forward, her eyes resolute. "We need to manually reset the reactor, but the control room is flooded with radiation. It's a death sentence for anyone who goes in there." A heavy silence followed her words. Michael clenched his fists. "I'll do it." Thaler's eyes widened. "Doctor, you can't. We need you here." Michael shook his head. "I'm the only one with enough knowledge of both human and Nyx tech to improvise a solution. If we don't act now, we're all dead." Lyra's hand touched his arm. "Michael, there has to be another way." He met her gaze, determination burning in his eyes. "This is our only chance." Thaler nodded reluctantly. "Athena, prepare the doctor with the highest level of protection we have." Michael moved quickly, suiting up in a reinforced radiation suit. The weight of the mission pressed on him, but he focused on the task at hand. The ship's future depended on him. The airlock to the reactor room hissed open, releasing a wave of oppressive heat. Michael stepped inside, the suit's filters working overtime. The room was a nightmare of sparking wires and glowing conduits. He moved swiftly, bypassing damaged systems and rerouting power. As he worked, the suit's radiation alarms blared, a constant reminder of the ticking clock. Sweat trickled down his face, the heat seeping through the suit. His hands trembled, but he pushed forward, each second crucial. His comm crackled to life. "Michael, status update." Thaler's voice was tight with worry. "Almost there," Michael replied, his breath ragged. He reached the central console, the reactor's core pulsating dangerously. His fingers flew over the controls, initiating the manual reset. The reactor whined in protest, then slowly began to stabilize. Michael exhaled in relief. "Reactor stabilizing. Get ready to bring systems back online." He staggered back, the alarms still shrieking. His vision blurred as the radiation took its toll. He fought to stay conscious, knowing the ship's fate rested on his shoulders. The room swam before his eyes as he activated the final sequence. The power surged back to life, lights flickering on throughout the ship. Michael collapsed, his strength spent. Thaler's voice echoed in his ear. "We're back online." "Michael, get out of there!" He tried to move, but his body refused to cooperate. The door hissed open, and Lyra rushed in, pulling him to safety. She removed his helmet, her face pale with worry. "Michael, stay with me." He managed a weak smile. "Did it work?" Lyra nodded, tears in her eyes. "You saved us." Michael closed his eyes, relief washing over him. The ship was safe, but the cost had been high. He felt a deep sense of pride and exhaustion, knowing he had proven humanity's worth once again. The Helios V sailed on, a beacon of hope and resilience in the vastness of space. The Helios V jolted violently, knocking Michael to the ground. "Another hit!" Athena's voice announced. "Hull breach imminent." Michael staggered to his feet, the metallic taste of blood in his mouth. The Sabotage's final act was a critical blow to the ship's defenses. He dashed towards the bridge, the ship's corridors now a battlefield of flashing red lights and frantic crew members. The sight of Commander Thaler barking orders over the chaos came into view. "We're losing structural integrity," Thaler reported, sweat glistening on his forehead. "Options?" Michael demanded, gripping the console for support. Evasive maneuvers, Thala replied. But we need someone to manually override the defense systems from the outside. Michael's heart sank. Going outside the ship during an attack was nearly suicidal. Lyra, standing nearby, met his gaze with determination. We've come this far. We can't let it end here. The realization hit Michael. I'll go. I'm already exposed to high radiation. It's better this way. No, Lyra objected, her voice trembling. There has to be another way. There isn't, Michael insisted. We need to protect the ship and the crew. Trust me. Without waiting for a response, Michael sprinted towards the airlock. He donned a spacesuit, the weight of his decision pressing heavily on him. The airlock opened with a hiss, revealing the void of space. He stepped out, the vastness of the cosmos both awe-inspiring and terrifying. Clambering along the exterior hull, Michael reached the defense systems panel. His hands moved with practiced precision, bypassing damaged circuits and rerouting power. The ship shuddered again, the impact reverberating through his suit. Athena, status. Michael's voice crackled over the comms. Structural integrity at critical levels, Athena responded. Manual override initiated. Defense systems recalibrating. As Michael worked, the stars around him blurred, the ship's evasive maneuvers throwing him off balance. He clung to the hull, his breathing heavy. The final connection snapped into place, and the defense systems roared back to life. Laser turrets fired, intercepting incoming projectiles with pinpoint accuracy. Defense systems online, Athena confirmed. Hull breach is stabilized. Relief washed over Michael. He began his precarious journey back to the airlock, the ship now a fortress against the void. As he re-entered the ship, he was met by Lyra and Thaler, their faces a mixture of concern and admiration. You did it, Lyra said, her voice filled with awe. Michael removed his helmet, his expression weary but resolute. We did it. Together. Thala stepped forward, extending a hand. You've shown us the true strength of humanity, Doctor. We owe you our lives. Michael shook his hand, a sense of unity settling over them. We're stronger together. Remember that. As the crew worked to repair the remaining damage, Michael reflected on their journey. The Helios V had faced sabotage, destruction, and near annihilation, but through it all, the crew had grown stronger. The bonds forged in adversity were unbreakable. Days later, as the ship sailed through the stars, Michael stood on the observation deck, watching the endless expanse of space. Elara, fully recovered, joined him. Thank you, Michael, she said softly. For saving me. For saving all of us. Michael smiled, a deep sense of pride filling him. It's what we do. We find a way. Elara nodded, her eyes shining with gratitude. You've shown us the best of humanity. You've shown us hope. The Helios V continued its journey, a beacon of resilience and unity in the vastness of space. The crew, now a tight-knit family, faced the unknown with newfound strength. And at the heart of it all was the human spirit, unyielding and indomitable. Michael looked out into the stars, ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. The universe was vast, and their journey had only just begun.